Hello, my name's Susan Rushton, as you know, and this is Muse. And this is the show in which I talk about people who are involved with the Muses. The Muses are those delighted by art who make communities better by urging and applauding art of all kinds. Anything you can think of about arts, that's what I'm talking about. The 8 Muses, millions of years ago, were the goddesses of science and the arts. So today's guest is Patty Leftridge. Patty, thank you very much for coming.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Good, and so am I. I'm happy you're here. And before we go any further, she is principal of Sierra Hills School in Meadow Vista. And I was aware of this because I work with Sierra schools during the school time usually Monday morning for Sideward Busters. Sidewardbusters.org. If you want to learn more about that, please do. Please do. It's wonderful. And she loves it too. You love it too.
I love the program, and we appreciate so much the volunteers like you that come and give of your time.
Well, it's a pleasure.
Very generous.
It's amazing. And I learned more and more how difficult English is. It's just crazy. The spelling is just nuts. Mm-hmm. So how long have you been principal?
Well, I've been a principal at Sierra Hills. This is the end of my 2nd year.
Mm-hmm.
I was previously, for 4 years, the principal at Alta Vista Community Charter.
Okay.
I was honored to start that charter way back in 2012.
Wow.
And then I spent a lot of years as vice principal for E.V. Kane Middle School.
Okay. And what brought you? How long have you been a teacher? For a long time.
Long time.
A long time.
Since about 8. Well, I started teaching piano when I was 16, but then I got my teaching credential and started in public education in 1989.
Okay. Why did you choose to be
a teacher?
Teacher. Yes.
Well, I'm a musician by birth and who I am. But musicians...
She's a muse.
I'm a muse, yeah. But musicians are freelance, independent contractors. There's no health benefits.
Sometimes you can get the money. Sometimes
right,
you can,
and sometimes, and at the time, my husband of 30 years was a musician too, and we wanted to start a family, and you have to have health benefits and all those things. So after getting my Bachelor of Arts in piano, I decided to get a multiple subject teaching credential, so that I could, the joke in our family was always real musicians have day jobs. You gotta pay the bills.
Oh yeah, like my father.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, unless you're like Leonard Bernstein and just brilliantly talented.
And everybody knows you.
Yes.
And everybody.
Right.
Come here.
Uh-huh.
But I hope they, anyway, we will find out. Okay. Okay. What's the best part of teaching?
The kids and the wacky, crazy things the kids say. You know this, right?
Sure.
They'll come up and say something and you're like, oh my gosh, that is so funny. Mm-hmm. And they're so pure and innocent and cute. Even the middle schoolers, which I know a lot of people would say they're not so cute. They're cute, they're outrageous, they're just a joy to be around.
Yeah.
They keep me young.
Okay, good, okay. And the hardest part?
I think the hardest part is when someone in the community or a parent doesn't know how much you want the best for their child. Because while you may make a decision that someone doesn't agree with as a teacher or an administrator, everyone I've ever worked with, it comes from this place of wanting the best for the child. Mm-hmm. And having them disagree with me never bothers me, but having them feel that somehow I wasn't trying to do it because I thought that was best for their child, sort of, I don't know. It hurts my self-identity because I'm always for what's best for the kid.
Yeah.
But you get over that after a while.
I like your smile.
Thank you.
I'm happy you're here. Okay, principal of Sierra Hills School, because that's the way you make your money.
Well, yes.
You're sure you're going to make your money there.
Well, I've got the health benefits.
Yes.
It also keeps me busy. You know, I think most musicians work nights. I'd probably sit around and eat bonbons and,
And
be very unproductive
and
with
look
my
at the music.
daytime. Yeah.
Okay. So we're here to talk about. So I got to talk about you to you. I got to talk about you to you about Sierra Hill School in Meta Vista, principal. I'm thrilled that you're a principal.
Oh, I'm
That's
so
nice.
lucky to
That's
have that
wonderful.
job. That community is fabulous.
Good. That's yeah. I live there. Therefore, okay, but and ... You have another important and delightful job. That's what it says here.
Oh, I do? Okay.
Playing piano.
Yes,
Playing
I do.
Piano.
Yes, I do.
And so you have a degree
I have a bachelor's
in piano playing.
in piano. It's just called piano. They don't designate whether you're playing or teaching, but yeah, it was piano. I didn't pursue the master's because with the Sac State program, it was primarily about classical, and I love classical music, but maybe not to the minutia that getting a master's would be.
Okay.
You know.
So instead of music, instead of that kind of music, what kind of music?
My favorite is to accompany a singer. My favorite is to accompany a singer and be able to follow. To me, music's all about translating an emotion from here to here. And with a good singer, I've worked with several good singers. No, I just love to help that singer take what they're trying to communicate with the audience and sort of lift it and be there with them and be able to follow where they're getting large in the song and where they're getting small. That's my favorite thing, is to be able to do that kind of, I don't want to call it improv because it's written music. My son's more of the improv king. I don't improv as much as he does. But the ability to read in the moment of the performance what that performer is trying to translate to their audience.
It takes time.
It takes time, and I think it takes a certain, almost an intuition, a reading of people.
Okay. So you watch and listen and talk with that person as well.
Yeah, but sometimes it's about reading their facial expressions and reading their breathing patterns. I've learned a lot because I'm usually behind the singer. So I can read when a singer's going to start a note because they'll take a breath, and you can tell when they're going to come in on a phrase so you can land right with them, which is great when you haven't rehearsed with someone.
Oh.
You know, when you've been working with someone, like I worked with Phil for a long time, I got used to his pattern. Great. But the first time you're playing for someone, you're dependent on watching their rib cage expand to go, okay, they're going to come in now. You know, oh, they're crescendoing. I can see in their body they're getting louder. I need to support that and get loud with them.
Okay. Okay. Why the piano?
Because my
Isn't that a good question?
my mom never had the chance to take piano as a kid. So she bought a piano and said, Patty, you're going to take piano. And I'm like, I don't want to take piano. What are you talking about? And she doesn't remember all this, but I'll say that's age. She used to put the timer.
Oh, it can't be that.
It can't be that. She used to put the timer on the piano to make me practice because I would have my friends call on the old landline, you know, to call me at 3:30. It's when I have to practice piano, so I don't have to sit there at the piano. But after a while, when I could first play, she swears the first one, and I sort of remember this was the theme from Love Story. Was the first pop piece I learned. And then I'm like, oh, this is cool. I can play music that I hear on the radio and on TV.
Yeah.
And so then it just inspired me.
And you can, pretty soon you could play it better.
Yes, and better and better. And then I started being the church pianist at the First Southern Baptist Church in Auburn. And
Are you still that?
no, well, I'm a church music director at the Unitarian Universalist Church, and I play each Sunday. But it gave me that regular being able to play for people and often for people singing.
Yes.
And so that's where I developed that love for playing for people to sing.
So, if you could choose to play what you like best, what would you choose? Okay, now let me.
1940 torch songs are my favorite. Some Enchanted Evening, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, that kind of very lyrical music. I do a lot with musical theater because a lot of that is in that same genre. I like pop music. Some of it's great, some of it's very predictable. 1, 4, 5 chords.
Okay, but it's somebody's singing.
Oh yeah, I always prefer to play for a singer. That's my preference.
Okay, so
I like that teamwork.
Yeah, so it's not just the piano music; it's also somebody's voice.
Yes.
Which helps if you don't like the what you're doing.
It is helpful. I've played some songs that the piano part is just not my favorite, but so I like the lyrics. I tune in with the lyrics.
Yes, yeah. Do you choose to do this, or do they choose to have you?
Well, it depends. Because I'm freelance, I play for a lot of different organizations. For example, when I started playing with Phil, it was through Placer Theater Company, PTC. And so they contacted me, hey, we want you to do this musical. And so I did Blame It on the Movies, the Joseph and the Coat of Many Colors, and a couple others. So the music's, usually picked. Sometimes I get hired to play music behind an event. Sundays, or when I play for weddings, I'll play seating music and then I get to pick it. Typically though, it's whoever's hiring me. And most of my time right now, as you're going to get into, is with Plaster Pops Chorale, and that music is picked by the director.
So what is, okay, let's talk about Placer Pops Chorale.
The Pops Chorale is right now we're I think at an 80 voice choir. We're under Ollie, which is a community learning, lifelong learning out of Sierra College. It used to be the Sierra Community Chorus, and it goes back decades. I've only been lucky to be with them since sometime between 2005 and 11.
How did they get you? How did they know about you?
Okay, so at the time, for 30 years, I was married to a drummer in the area, and we were working as musicians at Sunrise Baptist Church, right over the hillside there, where it's now Grace Brethren Church by Miyagi's. And somehow the director needed a drummer and got my husband at the time involved. And I'm like, oh, this sounds like a wonderful group to be with. But they had this really good pianist who ironically I'd gone to college with. She got her master's when I got my bachelor's. And so eventually though, he needed a synthesizer player to play some of the violin parts, because violinists are very difficult to find. And also when you're on a synthesizer, you can be a violinist at one moment and then a clarinet player.
So this is, what do you mean?
An electronic keyboard instrument that makes sounds of the different instruments.
Thank you.
And so I originally was brought on as the synthesizer player, and then at the last minute, they were planning a tour to Ireland, and their pianist at the time was unable to go because it conflicted with her summer schedule.
Oh darn, you had to.
Oh darn. He came to me, he goes, would you be willing, we'll pay all your costs to go to Ireland for 9 days and perform. Yes, sign me up. And of course my husband at the time was really sad they didn't need a drummer, and he's like, I got you this job and they're not taking me. I'm sorry. And then she had some different opportunities and decided to no longer play for them. And so I got the job. Wow. And so I felt so, thank you universe, that this landed, because they've become a family to me. The Plaster Pops people, they are just a wonderful group. We have, like I said, it's about 80 voices that sing. We rehearse every Tuesday for 2.5 or 3 hours.
Where?
Sierra College.
Okay.
They're great. That's part of the Ollie program. They provide the space for us without a charge. And then there's an orchestra of some of the greatest musicians. I have been so lucky to play with the musicians that are in this orchestra. It's a group of anywhere between 14 and 25 or 30, depending on the concert, that come together to accompany the choir. And we have the first chair Oakland flute player who plays with us. We have the director of music for a college down in the Woodland area. I mean, just these top-notch musicians that play with us that I get to rub elbows with and perform with. And then, ironically, when my ex-husband now moved out of the area, my son had become a quite gifted drummer, so he is now the drummer for the Plaster Pops. So even though he lives out of the area, I get to visit with him when we have a concert. So it's really an extended family.
Wow. Wow.
Great people. In fact, 2 of our choir members, I needed sight word busters, and I put on my Facebook that I needed sight word busters. 2 of the Plaster Pop singers signed up. They're some of my regular sight word busters. One of them drives from Citrus Heights.
Wow.
I know.
That's wonderful.
They're great people.
Yes, yes. Sightwordbusters.org. Yes. So, all right. Why do you think music is important? I know why you think music is important, but let's talk about it.
I think music says what sometimes we can't say. I know that sometimes when I'm in a certain headspace, when I got my job at Sierra Hills, I moved my stuff in, and one of the things I moved in was my electronic piano, and people were like, and I'm like, if I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna sit down and play some Bach. It helps my head readjust. I play a little Bach invention, and suddenly I'm back firing on all cylinders. I know that if I'm really emotionally upset about something, I'll sit down and play Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, or one of those beautiful, rich 1940s lush chord songs, and it does something that I don't think we as humans have words to describe. I think music soothes the savage beast, the savage heart, the savage soul, something like that.
Yeah.
And it just...
All of those things.
It's just... That's why we have music therapy. That's why we have music played in hospice when people are passing on. That's why women play music to their stomachs, to their uteruses when they're pregnant. That's why we sing lullabies to children. It expresses something, just the very sound of it expresses something that humans lack words for.
Yeah. Oh my.
I definitely lack the words for them, clearly.
Well, I grew up with a musical household.
Oh.
Two pianos in the living room.
Oh, wow.
And I know how to, that's nice. Oh, yeah, oh, okay. Everybody, my 2 brothers and my sister are brilliant musical people. My father and my mother were beautiful, and I left not knowing how to count. But yes, damn it, I am a wonderful listener. That's what musical people need.
Yes.
Is people to come listen.
Yeah.
And be delighted.
Absolutely.
and applaud and weep.
And
with
a good
admiration.
audience. And a good audience feeds the performers. I know Phil knows this. When you're up there singing, I used to do for about 15, 20 years, I assisted Glenda Gonzalez and Pam Harold with the high school musicals. I did all of the piano and the music and teaching the parts. And we would always notice, and I think it was Pam that pointed this out, that Friday audiences didn't give back. They're tired. It's been a work week. And so you're doing something and it's really funny and you get no laugh. You're doing something and it's really emotional and you get nothing. And it's hard to keep that performance energy up because you're giving and nothing's coming back. You get a good audience of good listeners like yourself, and it comes back at you, and it just becomes this loop of an experience.
So a Saturday night.
A Saturday night's always a better audience than a Friday night. Always. I'm sure there's exceptions, but Friday night, your audiences are like, entertain me. Saturday, they've had time to refresh, typically, and they can interact more, and they'll clap more, they'll more, and you just... It's something I don't have words for. You feel it, even when you don't hear an applause. If you sing a sad song and they receive that sad song, you can feel that coming back, even though you can't see them You know, you've got the lights, they're just a dark mass. You feel it. It's magic. And I think that's what's addictive about it, is that magic.
That's so here's the wonderful thing about doing this for people, is that you make them happy.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's lovely. Oh my. Do you play any other instruments?
Well,
yeah, you do that.
I do, because I became a band teacher. That was one of the many credentials I received. And so as a band teacher, you have to learn to play a little of everything. And
Really?
so, well, yeah.
Trumpet and...
Oh, you should hear Mr. Jim Kepfer, who was the band teacher in Auburn for decades. He could play everything well. I play everything enough to teach it.
Hear this.
So, you know, I'm decent on alto sax. I can do the flute. I can do the guitar and the drums. I can teach the brass instruments, trumpet and trombone and French horn, but boy, I struggled there. So yeah, no, you're required to know the basics of each of those because you have to teach them. So I was never as good as my fellow band teachers on that, but I tried to make up with my pedagogy and my ability to teach.
Your pedagogy.
Pedagogy, the science of teaching. Knowing how the child...
Why wouldn't I know that? Pedagogy, okay.
It's a fancy $10 word, you know, you toss around to sound impressive on TV. But to
See,
know...
it works.
But to know how to motivate the student, to know how can I break this down simply. And so while I'm not great on trumpet, I sure know how to break it down simple because I need it simply. So I could have never taught advanced, you know, high school advanced band. I didn't have what they call the chops.
And they know
to
it.
do that.
They know it by
Oh yeah,
then.
they would know it by
Yeah.
then, yeah. Phew, I could fake it with the 7th graders, you know. Oh, I know what I'm doing. But yes, so you have to do that. But no, one of the musicians I work with, Bobby Rogers, that guy is an expert on every instrument I've heard him pull out. And he's working at one of the colleges down in Woodland Davis area. But every single instrument, it's like, oh my gosh. Amazing.
Okay. Have you ever had any problems with kids or people?
Oh, I've had a few musicians I've worked with that I would choose not to work with again.
Oh. Oh, I can imagine.
It's usually not so much how they perform, but like their people skills outside of that will block me from like, oh, you know, I'm gonna pull out of this project. It's not a good match.
Okay.
It's rarely a singer I can't like match their style. I have had singers who want me to drive the song. I'm all about following the singer. You set the tempo, you set the and some who are more insecure want me to do it. And that can be a little bit of a dog chasing its tail.
Oh, yeah. But
But-
after all, they have this song that they want to sing.
Right.
And they've practiced, haven't they?
Oh
Of
yeah.
course they have.
But it's sometimes a lack of confidence, a lack of an internal, I know what I want this song to do. Or maybe they've always worked with pianists who demanded you follow me.
Okay.
And maybe that's just my philosophy. My philosophy is we're here to hear the singer. I'm there to complement that, to hold that up, to not get in the way of that. I'm not
This
the
isn't me.
star. This
It's
isn't
them.
me.
Yeah.
It's their message and their story, and I'm giving the background for it. I'm putting the frame on it. And that's just my philosophy. Some people may have a
It
different
seems
one.
to me that you're the perfect person to play with.
If the
to sing
person
with.
is game on
sing
putting their stuff out there, absolutely.
Yeah. I've been aware of piano players who play louder than
The singer,
the
yeah.
singer. That's ridiculous.
And they are probably great solo pianists.
Of course
who
they are.
could beat me all to death in how they could do a solo piece.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what they're for. That's
Sure.
not my role. My
No.
role isn't as accompanist.
Yes.
That's what I prefer.
Yes, and any person who's playing with a person who's singing.
Yeah,
needs-
you have to hear the words.
Oh,
I
God.
don't even like, there's some recordings I'll hear on the radio and I'm like, that is mixed horribly. I can't hear what the singer's saying.
Yeah.
I have to hear, even though I'm a musician, my favorite part of songs are their lyrics.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what drives how I feel about a song.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
unless it doesn't have lyrics.
There's a problem with pianos, there seems to me. I seem to think, well, there's a piano wandering around in outside Auburn, outside, and it's in terrible shape, but it's sort of cute.
It's the art everywhere movement.
Yeah.
And I love the intent. And ragtime and boogie woogie can sound great on those out of tune, beat up old pianos. Absolutely.
Okay.
And I like the movement. But yes, they're not meant to be outside instruments.
Yeah. And pianos used to be part of everybody's house.
I just heard an NPR. I don't know if you heard the same thing. There was a whole NPR. Their little their little thing, and they were talking about how the piano used to be in every home. It was a sign you were civilized. You had, and I think that's why my mom really always wanted one, and her family couldn't afford one. Is that was the expectation of what you'd have, and we've gotten away from that. And there are a couple reasons. Not valuing space, of course, space, price, not valuing the hard work and the continuity it takes to really accomplish anything. Also, not understanding the benefits that happen from giving a child 2 or 3 years of piano lessons and they never become a pianist. What happened to your brain when you studied piano, scientists will tell you it did great things, even though you can't play piano today. The science is there.
Yeah.
And people sort of discrediting that. Also, the rise of the electronic piano.
Absolutely.
I don't have to pay for a tuner. It's always in tune. If I live in an apartment, I don't have to worry about my neighbors complaining. I can put headphones on. I'm lucky I have really good neighbors. They let me practice anytime.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I value piano players so much, because I grew up with them.
Yeah.
I'm married to one. Now, I can do it myself, but I just love listening to him when he's practicing, and he doesn't need to practice. He just plays. Yeah. And I value that so much, and I'm so grateful that there are piano players around here, and I'm really happy that you are.
Well, I'm happy you are, because that gives me an audience.
Good.
So thank you.
Good. Oh, yes, my pleasure. Okay. Do you play any other? Yes, you play other instruments.
I don't regularly do. The only instrument I regularly play now that I'm not teaching band is guitar when I'm singing with kids. And I stink at bar chords, because if you're a guitar player, you know that flat finger's important. And in piano, the rounded fingers are important, and the brain can't do it. So I know my 5 or 6 non-bar chords, so I can do that. And occasionally I'll do drums, because the kids just get a kick that their principal knows how to play drums.
Oh, good. Okay.
It makes them laugh and giggle.
That's great. Okay. Patty, thank you
my pleasure.
So much. This is Patty Leftridge, who is principal of Sierra Hill School in Meadow Vista, and she is also a piano player.
thepopscorral.com. We've got concerts coming up all fall, year round. We do a big run at Christmas time. We have a big band show we always do in March. We do our concerts in May.
Okay.
We'll keep you busy.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.